Welcome back to Starcraft Trivia with NecrO. The category is Lore. Out of all the species that have been assimilated into the Zerg swarm, most of them have undergone serious genetic mutations. However, the Zerg species that received the least amount of genetic modification is the creature we know as the Overlord. What are the dangling arms on the Overlord for? Is it A, to pick up ground units into their body? B, they're sensors that gather spatial information? C, they're useless vestiges from their pre-Zerg form? Or D, it's to communicate with other Zergs? The answer is B. They are sensors that can sense everything around them, which is probably why they were detectors in Starcraft 1. So, the Overlord used to be called Gargantus Proximae, who were space-wandering creatures on the verge of extinction. To prevent the death of their race, they sent out psionic signals to reach out to the Zerg so they could be assimilated. But the Zerg barely modified them because of their innate psionic abilities, which could easily have disappeared if they messed around with their genetics too much. Second question. As we know, all Protoss used to live together under the Kala, which was a religion based on establishing a psionic link between all Protoss through their nerve cords. The first to reject this religion and severed from the psionic link were known as the Dark Templar, who later became known as the NecrO. However, there wasn't supposed to be a later for the Dark Templar, as they were supposed to be secretly hunted down and assassinated to maintain peace and to keep their existence a secret from the rest of the Kalai Protoss. But in an unexpected turn of events, a Protoss Executor recognized their need for individuality and struck a deal with the rest of the Conclave to exile them in exchange for not revealing their existence to the rest of the Protoss. Which Protoss Executor was responsible for saving the lives of the original Dark Templar? Is it A, Adun, B, Selendis, C, Tassadar, or D, Zoranis? The answer is A, Adun. Basically, in the history of the Protoss, there was this insane civil war called the Aeon of Strife, which was considered the deadliest war in galactic history, partially because it lasted 1,000 years. Fast forward a bit, and now the Protoss are all living in harmony under the Kala. However, the very existence of the Dark Templar was a problem, because if all the Protoss knew about them, then it could potentially spark another Aeon of Strife of sorts. There was a group of elder Protoss known as the Conclave, who were basically the popes of the Kala religion, and only they were aware of the existence of the rogue Dark Templar. Eventually, they came to a decision to eliminate them to prevent another potential civil war, should their existence be revealed. Cortanel, leader of the Conclave, wanted Executor Adun to find them and assassinate them one by one. Adun then captured the Dark Templar Rasha Gal and questioned her about her motivations. He then realized that the Dark Templar simply sought individuality and realized they had a right to reject the Kala religion to pursue their own path. However, their existence were still a threat. Adun turned on the Conclave and vowed to protect their rights to individuality and asked the Conclave to exile them. Otherwise, he would reveal to the Protoss that they existed all along and that the Conclave knew about them, yet kept them a secret. The Conclave deemed the exile a fair trade, and all Dark Templar were exiled. That original faction of Protoss then became known as the NecrO. Later on, two other factions severed themselves from the Kalai and moved to different homeworlds. Those other factions became known as the Tal'Darim and the Purifiers. And last question of the segment, Tarsonis is easily the most important colony that ever happened for the Terrans. If Tarsonis never happened, Terran might not even be a playable race in Starcraft. Which of these original 4 supercarriers was the famous spaceship that brought Terrans to Tarsonis? Is it A. Argo, B. Naglfar, C. Regan, or D. Sarengo? The answer is B. Naglfar. Okay, so I can make a 10-minute video on Tarsonis, but I'll try to TLDR this. The year is 20XX, everyone plays Fox. No wait, hold on. The year is 20XX, the world has kinda gone to shit, there's conflict all over the world about everything. Then this organization called UPL, which stands for United Powers League, happened in 2229, which was basically the UN, but governed like 95% of the population. They established order, things are kinda cool again, however, they're also like crazy purists and believe in the divinity of mankind or whatever, so they hated everyone who had cybernetic enhancements and modified genetics. So they did what any sane person would do and organize a massive genocide on these people while covering it up on the media. Fast forward like a year and like 300 million people died, but this dude called Doran managed to casually sneak out 56,000 of these wanted people to send them on a secret colonization mission. He built 4 supercarrier ships, Argo, Naglfar, Regan, and Sarengo, which all came with a supercomputer called Atlas, which had the coordinates of their destination and basically all the knowledge of mankind and stuff. The 4 spaceships were sent off en route for Gantris 6, which was 1 year away. All the passengers went into a deep sleep for the trip, but while they were sleeping, the supercomputer glitched out and stopped working, probably because they had too many Chrome tabs open, so the ship lost all their coordinates to Gantris 6. The 4 ships kept going aimlessly in space for 28 years, traveling 60,000 light years and entering the Caprulu sector. After reaching the end of their resources, the ships automatically deployed an emergency landing to the nearest planets, which were Umoja, Moria, and Tarsonis. Sarengo and Regan went to Umoja, but Sarengo crash-landed and everyone died. Argo landed on Moria and Naglfar landed on Tarsonis. Everyone came out of their 28-year-long sleep and they were like, the fuck is this? Naglfar though somehow got the supercomputer Atlas to start working again, so they had everything they needed to rebuild, and that was the only ship that could get Atlas working again. With the help of the supercomputer, inside 60 years' time, they managed to reach subwarp engine technology, allowing them to easily travel to nearby planets and create a multi-planetary economy, becoming the most prosperous colony ever. The end.